Good afternoon. I'm just going to do a short introduction on using the Spectra2 versus the Evolver for doing some basic SIP testing. And main focus will be really also of taking information from a Spectra2 and also where you would place that in an Evolver if you were to transfer a test case. So a first part, of course, on the Spectra2 is you have your sort of your building entities that you use in order to build a scenario. So here we have, of course, the first part, you have your IP addresses that you set for your workspace. And then you have your network element library. So you have your, if we then look at a tester scenario, we have your user agent, which has, of course, reuses the IP address, and you have set your RTP address and also the IPv version and transport type and everything like this, and your URI that you're going to use. Same thing goes for, of course, the remote user agent and the SIP server that you're going to talk to. And with that, you can then start building your SIP scenario where you set your call leg, which takes that UA that you have created, as well as which SIP server you're going to talk to, and then your call flow for the MO side. So comparing that a little bit then with Evolver, so we then have here a setup which is a little bit different from the Spectra because we have more things located more closely to the script itself. And it's using what we call building blocks. So as you see here, we have different entities here, starting with UEA, UEB, which is originating and terminating side. Some call info about just call length. And then we have init and register UEA, init and register UEB, and then the call itself. So if you just compare then, coming back from the Spectra side, going from the database, we have the UE information. So here we have the UEA, so the originating side. So sort of similar to what you see in the Spectra. Your RTP addresses, if it's using security, so TLS, what scheme you're using, the RTP port, the RTP IP, the domain that you use, protocol, UDP, TCP, TLS, and so on. And then we have the same, and of course here we also what the proxy that we're talking to. So in the same information, we also have the registrar in the same place. And the same thing goes for the UEB side, that it has everything. So that's just for like moving those parameters over. So for the user agents. And the other part, of course, here is that we set the IP address directly here as well. So we just write whatever IP addresses we want to use. And also we will have had it configured previously in the operating system. So it's available to use. Then if we just don't focus so much, so like we said, we have the init and register. I will focus mostly on the call flow here. So comparing the tester call flow. So one of the main differences is that, well, we can do an MOMT oriented call flow, but we can also easily put everything in the same script and easily, then have also multi-call leg handling. And here I have everything. So from the information here, I init my variables. So I create my SIP URI. So this gives a flexible structure. And then I have my SIP invite. So just like you have in the Spectra, you have your SIP invite. You wait for on the 180 for the invite on the B side and send 180 ringing, and so on. So to have the whole call flow. So equivalent of the Spectra. So, and these are, as you can see, are built up of called tasks. So here we have the tasks, and basically we have different task types. So you have specific tasks for all the different type of SIP handling that you need to do. When this also then automatically is kept track of. So after, for instance, the first invite where you have all the UE information for the A side and the B side, after that point, everything is kept track of. So the main parts to set is your SDP parameters for the UEA and UEB. And really from that point, that is the same, of course, here in the Spectra. You would press play to start the script. We can run this in two different modes. So we can run this in debugger mode. So we run through all the different steps. Either we can do step by step, so basically to fault finding and see what you're finding wrong with your information or the setup that you're using, or I can run them through just the whole scenario here at once. And I'm running this with an RTP stream also. And in conjunction with the pure load, we always with Evolver, we always have the Wireshark installed, so we have a full Wireshark trace of everything that is going on in the background. So, and here also, as you can see, we have in our log file the same information about all the different messages sent. So I can have the invite, and I can see exactly the information that was populated in the invite and that was sent out. Allows for fault finding, and also we can then use this to get and put information on every single message that's part of the flow. And lastly, we can also then run this more as a one-off scenario. So then I can just run this through the run scenario, and as you see, it will run through the scenario, and we'll see everything. So you can get a status even of a single call. You can see the time it's taken for every single part of the call, and going through all the different parts, you see here in the background that we have the call is going on, the call is finished, and there you have everything. You can see that everything is okay. So this was just a quick intro as to how we can take the parameters from the Spectra2, move them over to the Evolver, and run a similar test so that you basically do a one-to-one conversion. And that was all for today. Thank you very much.